G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you're having a fantastic day, and with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user particularfigure123, titled, "My husband has a second family. The ultimate cliche has happened in my life, and I'm absolutely broken. My husband, my rock, has been having an affair for over 17 years. We have been married for over 25 years. We have 3 beautiful children, 2 in college and 1 who still lives at home. But it turns out he's had another set this whole time. My husband is an insurance broker. He has multiple branches over the country which he spends week on, week off. Turns out, on his week off, he's been with his other family in Albuquerque, where his other branch is. He's got a fiancée with whom he has 2 kids with, both in their early teens. I found out when I went to make a new Facebook account, and when I searched my husband's first name, another profile with another last name popped up, and through that profile were the links to his fiancées and his other kids' Facebooks. My husband is currently with said family, and I know it's him because his most recent post is a photo of him and that other family eating dinner. Among those photos were photos of him kissing the girl and him being fatherly with kids who look nearly identical to my husband. I am almost broken. Almost every part of me wants to scream in his face and reprimand him for ruining my life, but another part of me wants to pretend to be ignorant and to just let it be, because our life is so peaceful. He is so good with our kids. He's the main source of financial income, he's loving, but he's also all of those things to another family. Not only would I be tearing a gaping hole into my family, but I'd be opening up a vortex for them too. My heart is in shambles. I've never cried so much in my life. My youngest son is currently on a graduation trip with friends, and I'm alone till my lying, cheating bastard husband comes home. My life is absolutely wrecked. It's literally a movie plot. I'm hoping he'll just come home soon, and it'll be a big misunderstanding why he's kissing a woman with a ring on her finger. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm tempted to pack a bag and just leave. I can't be in the home where we've raised our kids, where we spent every Christmas for the last 26 years, and where I've been alone on New Year's taking care of our babies while he works his ass off. I just can't. I want to leave a note for him to come home to, hurt him like he's hurt me, but I don't think that's possible. I don't know how I'll ever face him again. This seems like an impossible situation to not confront. I just want to know the optics of all of this personally. I want to know how he has the time and energy to get away with all of this. Like, damn, how does he manage this and how has he not managed to get caught for such a long time? In the comments, I'm not a therapist, but if it makes you feel any better, it's not you who will ruin anything by calling him out. It's him that caused this, and no one else. The damage is done. Don't call him out until you get evidence and contact a lawyer. I wouldn't doubt if he's planning on leaving as soon as all of her kids are adults, and then taking everything and running off to marry the other woman. Don't let him leave you homeless and destitute. Also, he may be waiting for the last kid to leave so he can leave too. Take what you're entitled to, including spousal support, until you remarry. Then just never remarry. Live in sin and collect his money. You said, not only would I be tearing a gaping hole into my family, I'd be opening up a vortex for them too. He has already torn a gaping hole into your family. He's opened a vortex for everyone. He chose to lie to you and to the other family. He has wronged you and has wronged the other woman. You get to feel angry. Pay attention to the advice on how to separate and then live your best life while taking the time to mourn all of that time with your husband. You deserve the best. Get proof before you tell him. Screenshot everything because it will disappear to cover his tracks and will be he said, she said. What he did was wrong, and the violation of trust cannot be reset. You have to decide for yourself if you're okay with sharing. If you are, make a plan that you are comfortable with regarding shared time and present it to him as an alternative to divorce. Write it out. Make some compromises if you want and both sign it. If he violates the agreement, then leave. But this only works if you are truthful with yourself and can handle going forward. If not, get a lawyer before you tell him and figure out the divorce terms first. And back up to the post. This is a follow-up. Thank you so much for the advice. I'm not in any means good with legal things, so all the legal advice has been noted. I've rung an attorney, and we are discussing the process. He's also told me to gather as much evidence as I could, such as photos of the Facebook pages, text messages, and recent flight information. All has been put together into a folder, and I'll present it to a judge or jury when we go into some sort of divorce proceeding. Again, not fully clear with specifics, but it's a good sign. I've also been in contact with the other woman. I've told her and explained the situation, and she was equally as distraught. From what I'm aware, she's financially independent from him, and they don't share property, so it seems very clean-cut on her behalf. My husband is aware of the fact I know, and is currently staying in a hotel, but he is unaware that the other woman knows. I confronted him when he walked through the door. He started to cry and plead, and it was honestly kind of pathetic. I mean, I was crying too, but I've chosen to think of him as a pathetic coward for doing this, because he is. But anyways, I have my name on the property, we both do, so it's not like I can just kick him out, but he's chosen to stay away for my sake. All I'm thinking is, if he chose to stay away for my sake, maybe being faithful for my sake should have been considered too. Despite this, he's staying away. He's in a hotel downtown where he calls every few hours to check up. I am no longer sad. Well, I am, but I'm way more furious than sad currently. My kids still have no idea, and my youngest thinks that my husband is just working in Albuquerque because of the business problem. I'm still confused at how to tell them that they have 2 half-siblings and 2 parents, one with an extra backup parent. I'm just feeling very, very unappreciated and unwanted lately, but your kind words have been so helpful. Thank you guys so much. Much love. And now, onto the update. Firstly, I would like to start off by thanking everyone who had positive things to say. The widespread support has been so helpful during this period, and I am truly amazed at the kindness shown to me. Thank you. And now to the update. I won't be going into details about the divorce because it's still ongoing, but do rest assured it is happening. A few people seemed worried that I was going to stay with him, and for a period of time I would have, but no, we are divorcing. On that note, I have completely cut contact with him. Our contact is through lawyers only. He officially moved out of the house, and my middle moved back in to help out over the break. My kids have, to my knowledge, cut most contact with him, but I haven't asked as it's not my place. Also, custody isn't a problem because my youngest turned 18 recently. We've also been in contact with the other family, and we even spent Christmas together. Despite being a little awkward at first, me and his ex-fiancé are trying our hardest to bring the kids together harmoniously. And that'll be the last update. I'm logging off of Reddit now. I'll continue living my life. I'll try to support my kids through theirs, but I'll forever be thankful for the support and love that you have all shown. Yours truly and sincerely, OP. In the comments, Calnessa says, serves him right for the ex-wife and ex-fiancé to become friends and leave him out in the cold. Maybe he'll start a third family. Almost certainly. He'll probably tell his third wife that he's a widower or his previous crazy ex-wife abandoned him and poisoned his children against him. Karma is a nice idea, but it never stays with people like this for very long, like water off a duck's back. I always worry when a guy says his wife was crazy. I even hear it from guys that are still married, but refer to their wives as crazy. It's a huge red flag. I don't know how these guys feel justified in saying those kinds of things, like they're bragging. Me too. I went on a date with a guy who said his ex was crazy. He told me that she caught him at his other baby mum's house and got upset. I asked if he was sleeping with his ex, and he said yes. I asked him if he was sleeping with the baby's mother, and he said yes. Turns out the crazy ex and the baby mama were both pregnant at the same time. I then asked if he told her he loved her, and he said yes. So this dude is actively cheating on a woman he loved and dated while carrying his child with the other child's mother, who is also carrying his child. She, of course, was mad when she found out. I said, "You're calling her crazy?" And he said, "Yeah, she is." I knew this date would be a one and done. Geistbar replies, "I'd almost consider it a bigger red flag that he's willing to just admit all of this to you outright on a first date. Dude is so supremely dumb or amoral or something that he thought that you wouldn't see anything wrong with what he told you." Misfit Penguin says, "That's one cheater with a lot of energy, I'll give him that. 2 families, 5 kids for 17 years? Jeez. Yeah, I don't know where he gets the energy." Right? If I had a second family, it would be a little apartment out of town, which is stocked with snacks, is immaculately clean, and I mostly sleep in. Sometimes read books. Yup, having a second family is living the dream, all right. Apparently, my husband's grandfather had a second family in a town about 45 minutes away from where he lived. After the grandfather died, a bunch of half-siblings showed up at my father-in-law's door, but he wasn't interested in building a relationship with them. My mum and uncles felt the same way when they learned they had an older half-brother. I thought it was petty and kind of ridiculous. It's not the kid's fault, but that was their choice. And yeah, guys, that about wraps that one up. Once again, good riddance to bad trash. I'm glad that OP is going through all the right channels to deal with this situation, and I do hope that that guy gets his shit together, but as we saw in the comments, I don't think karma will be biting him in the ass too hard anytime soon. As unfortunate as that is. Anyway, guys, what do you think of this one? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next post is by user Bay Window, titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my dad I have no interest in meeting his new family? I, 17 female, haven't had a relationship with my dad since I was 8 years old. It broke me when my dad left because it wasn't just him. I lost my aunts and uncles, cousins, grandparents. They all stopped talking to me. I've been in therapy since I was 11. I worked out a lot of issues about my dad. My mother remarried when I was 7. I have a stepdad and 2 brothers that I love very much. I am applying to colleges and feel happier than I ever have. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from my dad, and he told me that he was engaged and he was getting married in the fall, and that he wanted me to come to a reunion so they can get to know each other's family, and I can get to know my new siblings. He said she wanted to meet his kids before they got married. My father has 3 kids, me, my brother and sister. I have a relationship with my sister, but we're not close because she lives far away. I hung up. I couldn't deal with it because I was emotional, and I bawled my eyes out. The next day I called my dad, and I told him that I had no interest in meeting his new family, that he was cruel for abandoning an 8-year-old, and even more cruel for reaching out because he was forced to do so. I already had a family that I was happy and secure with, and I had no interest in him being in my life because he was no longer my dad, and to not contact me. I then called my sister to ask if he'd reached out to her, and he did, and she was going to go. I told her the conversation, and she said what I said was appropriate because it was true, but I could have been nicer about it. I was a bit sad, but my family was there to comfort me. My sister sent me a link to a Facebook post that my new stepmother had shared, saying she couldn't believe that a perfect man could have such terrible children. My sister then told me she wasn't going to go to the reunion because she agreed that she didn't want to meet this woman after what she had said about us. I thought that would be the end of it, and though that post upset me, I tried to let it go. But I started getting calls from my father's side of the family, even my brother, telling me that I was a bear and an asshole for ruining the reunion by telling my dad that he wasn't my dad. They told me that they cancelled the whole thing, and he was questioning whether he should get married at all. They told me that I could have reached out. It wasn't fair they were being the ones blamed for the falling out. I have since blocked them. I did see a post on Facebook saying my dad postponed his wedding, but now I can't stop thinking about what they said. I mean, yes, I could have reached out, but I feel that's not fair because I was 8. I shouldn't have been the one that makes amends. I know that I was harsh and could have gone about telling him I didn't want him in my life in a nicer way, but I don't think I did anything wrong. Maybe that's because everybody around me is taking my side. I've had multiple people tell me I'm an asshole. I feel guilty and I want an outsider perspective. Am I the asshole? Edit, I just wanted to add some stuff. My sister is 23, my brother is 28. My mother had nothing to do with my family cutting me out. 2 years ago, I called my dad under the advice of my therapist, and when he answered, I started crying and he didn't say anything, and he just hung up on me. I think that's when I really moved on from my dad. I don't blame you at all in this situation. I don't think you're an asshole for this. I feel like at a young age you were tossed into a losing battle, and no matter what you did, there would have been a negative outcome. Like, you are not old enough or mature enough to fix those bonds, and it's not your job to reach out. Their reaction to what you've said is unjustified, I feel like. I feel like these people are a bit delusional, thinking that things can be all hunky-dory after they've not put any effort into your relationship. So my judgment is absolutely not the asshole. In the comments, on therapy and the brothers' relationship, OP says, "Hello, thank you for your kind words. I'm currently still in therapy. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon, and I know that I need it and it benefits me in more ways than one. I am my mother's only biological child, and she has said that I should cut ties with my brother. I have also been talking to my sister quite a bit today about what we should do about our brothers. We only share DNA from our dad, the same as I do with my sister, and she says that I need to cut ties with him completely as well, but at the same time, I do feel bad because he went through the same abandonment that I did. It's just my dad actually came back to him, whereas he didn't come back to me and my sister. As of right now, I haven't cut ties, well, not officially anyway with my brother, but it does seem like that's where it's headed." Someone asks, "What on earth did he tell his family when he stopped talking to you?" And OP replies, "I don't know what he told his family or his fiancé, but when I started building a relationship with my sister, he did tell my sister's mother that my mother had filed a restraining order against him, and that was the reason that he couldn't be around me, which is 100% not true. I can assure you, there was never a restraining order filed. My sister's mother figured that out when she talked to my father about it. He admitted that he lied." About the timeline of her parents' marriage, OP says, "My parents got divorced when I was 2. For the next 5 years, I would go back and forth from my mum to my dad's house. Over the last 2 years that I had a relationship with my dad, those visits went from every weekend, to every other weekend, to once a month, to every other month, and then there was nothing from my dad or any of his family. One day they just stopped talking to me. About 3 months after my father had not come pick me up for his annual visitation, my mother took me to his house, and we found out that he had moved back to Mississippi where his family was from. After that, we never talked again until I was around 12, and he called me to tell me happy birthday. He called me one more time the same year to say Merry Christmas. And after that, I didn't hear from him again until 3 weeks ago when he called me. My dad was such a jealous freak, like to the point where he would be mad that she went to work. There was this guy that my mother worked with, and he was super jealous of him. And one day he finally just accused her of cheating, and she said she didn't cheat, and he didn't believe her, and he left, and then he came home. The next day, he admitted to having sex with another woman, and then they got divorced. About 2 years later, my mum started a new job, and she ended up dating her boss, and they got married when I was 7, and now he's my stepdad. But I also only hear my parents' side of the story. I've never heard my dad's side of the story. He's never really thought that it was important enough to tell his side of the story, but that's what I know of the whole situation. I really don't know the true story, because I was 2 when everything happened, and me and my dad were never really close. He never told me, important things about his life. We didn't talk much when I was with my dad. I mostly spend time with his boyfriend. On the topic of dads' messed up marriages, OP says, "Me and my siblings all have different mothers. My father has been married 4 times. If he does marry this woman, this will be his 5th marriage. I didn't even know of my sister's existence until I was 9 years old. My sister's mother reached out to my mother when she noticed that her daughter's child support had gone down because my father wasn't meeting his mandatory visitation rights and had to pay more child support towards me. The court told my sister's mother that he had 2 other children, and she reached out to my mother. We had dinner together. She also reached out to my brother's mother, but they had no interest in knowing my sister. I don't know if my father has other children, and as far as I'm aware, he doesn't. But he lied to me and my brother about my sister, and he lied to my mother about the existence of my brother before she had me. So honestly, who knows? But I do know that his fiancée has children between the ages of, I believe, 3 and 19. Someone asks, "What the heck did he say to you on the phone?" And OP replies, "The way I remember the conversation going was him saying, 'Hello, this is so-and-so, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm having this family reunion because recently I got engaged and I'm going to be getting married in the fall, and I was hoping that you would be interested in coming to the reunion. Your brothers are going to be there, as well as the rest of my family, and you can meet my fiancé and your new step-siblings.' That's not exactly word for word, but that's the gist of the conversation. And no, he did not apologize. When I called him back the next day, he actually sounded quite mad that I hung up on him in the first place, and he said relatively the same thing, just in a harsh tone with fewer words. And that's when I told him that I didn't want to meet his family. He called me about 40 times after I hung up over the course of the next 2 days. In the comments, SapoFun says, "Not the asshole. He is the one who didn't reach out to you since you were 8 until much later. If I were you, I would have answered that new woman's Facebook with, what kind of perfect man of a father keeps away from his 8-year-old daughter only to contact her when she's 17? I am petty though." Your kind of petty is the perfect kind of petty. Not the asshole, kiddo. Your dad is only reaching out to make himself look good. F that. And it seems he met the perfect nasty match in his fiancée. Good on your sister for sticking with you. Woke Jabber says, "Are you saying that after ignoring you for 9 years, his family got in touch to castigate you for rejecting them?" Let that sink in. Also, consider that your dad might have lied to both his family and his new wife about why you're upset. Not the asshole. And now, on to the update. So I've talked to my dad and his fiancée. I told her everything about everything. Their wedding was off for 11 days, but now it's back on. She didn't really say much to me about it. She mostly just brushed past it. They want to come out here, where I live, and have dinner with me and my mum. My sister has also agreed to come to the dinner, but now he's talking about coming to stay with him for a little while. And I don't want to do that. I'm a little nervous about the whole thing now, and I just don't want to start another dance with my father that ends badly for me. I don't plan on going to the wedding or any other events that include my dad after the dinner. The only reason that I agreed to go to the dinner was because my sister had asked me, not because he asked me. I don't have any interest in having a relationship with my dad, but I do think that it would be healthy if I didn't have any hatred for my dad. I don't want to be in this limbo where I just feel shitty for the rest of my life because I have hatred toward my dad, and I felt like this was just an easier way to deal with it and move on and let go. And now, on to the final update. I had dinner with my father and his new fiancée, as well as her children, on the 18th of May. I feel like I got a lot of childhood feelings off of myself. I explained to my father, his fiancée, and her family why I felt the way that I felt, as well as my reasoning for not wanting to come. I told him that I had no intentions of being in his life over the necessary amount. My dad did ask me quite a couple of times if I was going to be up to going to the wedding. I did agree to, but I made it clear that I don't want to be involved as an official member in his life, more so someone he might see around the holidays, birthdays, or special events. But other than that, I have no intentions of seeing or interacting with him. He seemed fine with that, and it was a perfect solution for me. I've been told by many of you, as well as many people in my personal life, that I should just cut him out of my life and move on. I just feel that having unresolved feelings is unhealthy. Not having answers to things that you could have answers for seems kind of ridiculous if you have the option to get the answers that you want. My relationship with my father is never going to be great. It's never going to be perfect. It's probably never going to be anything other than okay, because I don't really think that I can see him as anything other than a deadbeat dad. But I'm going to try my best to be civil, because I don't want to have any more unresolved feelings with anybody else. I know that it's been over a month since my last update, but during that time I finished my senior years with 4 Bs and 4 As. I turned 18 on the 21st of May. I graduated high school and I started a new job. It's been a pretty busy month, and so honestly, I wasn't even nervous about talking to my father because I feel like it was just so busy that it was just another thing to do. But I'm glad that it's over and done with, and I can just move on with my life. In the comments, GreenOlive123 says, "I feel like he just wants her to fall in line, like an expectation for the wedding pomp and circumstance, then he can go on with his new 5th family and pretend the rest don't exist again. I feel bad for OP because I think she has more hurt coming her way. At least she has a therapist already. He'll abandon her again as soon as the wedding is over. He's only making a production of her attending because he's trying to act normal. He'll be back when the transplant is needed." Quote, "I've talked to my dad and his fiancée. The wedding was off for 11 days, but now it's back on. Poop birds of a shit feather flock together." Yeah, no decent person would ever marry someone like that. And perfect man? Oh boy, this woman is in for one hell of a surprise, though she certainly deserves what's coming at this point. My mum's stepbrother was like OP's dad. Several members of the family tried hinting to his 3rd wife not to marry him. I was maybe 12 at the time. He already had 2 kids by 2 different mothers that he maybe saw once a year. Third wife actually lasted quite a while. I think kids 3 and 4 were preteens before he walked out on them. But yeah, turns out she was kind of a jerk too, and not very bright. Blue Pancakes 18 says, "Last year I was low contact with my dad, and he met and married a woman. As in met and married in the same 8-month period. And they wanted me to meet her before they got married. But when I asked to meet with just her for a coffee, she said no. I explained that I didn't feel safe with my dad, as he is an emotionally manipulative jerk, but she still said no. She didn't see the point of meeting just the 2 of us, as without dad there, she wouldn't be here. And she was afraid that I would attack her. I have 0 history of violence, of drugs or alcohol, or mental health issues. I was a social worker, and now I'm a therapist. She knows that his child doesn't feel safe with him, and she still married him. Just found out that all his kids have been mostly written out of his will, and the majority will go to her. Surprise, surprise." Culture Inner 3316 says, "Oh, OP. I don't understand why she would choose to interact with these assholes, but I also can't relate to her situation. I hope she doesn't get her hopes up or heartbroken again." Some therapists push the closure angle instead of helping people learn that not everything will get closure. You have to learn to move past what you can't control that isn't healthy, whether or not you feel closure. Hopefully, OP will learn that without too much pain. Closure is overrated as an idea. Too often, attempting to get closure just exposes you to more of the bullshit the person inflicted you to previously. You don't get the feeling of closure you want, and you get hurt again. The best closure is sometimes to burn the door to the ground. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.